Hello there everyone, and this is just a video game idea for not just, well, one game but two games. So here we go. Call of Duty Korean War. By the way, this is just an image I found on the internet, and yeah, I do believe they should do a Call of Duty Korean War, but I also believe they should do a Battlefield Korean War as well. This is just a weather coup image I found on Twitter. Anyway, I'll read it. Which side would you play as the Korean War, 1950 to 1953? The All-OK American UN campaign. Play as American, South Korean, and United Nations forces as you and your allies push the North and their red Chinese allies out of Greater Korea. Game would need 2 or 3 discs. The DPLK Chinese USSR campaign play as North Korean, Chinese, and Soviet forces Reznov as you push the UN-backed South Korean forces into the sea. 30 up to 250 multiplayer matches, new game mode, Sniper Royal, Sniper Ori game mode, Conquest. The side that controls the most percentage of this map wins. S and D, Z, Search and Destroy with endless zombies. And this is just an image I found of a American soldier, it seems. Kind of looks Korean War. And also World War II like at the same time. I think it is cool. And here is a map of the Korean Peninsula. They shall not pass. New Year's Day offensive. Turning point. Blood Bowling. Living Hell. Liberation of Pyongyang. Longest Winter. And Chinese Funeral. Or Chinese Festival, I don't know. And this is the map of the Korean Peninsula before the North invaded. And this is a map where North Korean forces invaded the South, almost succeeded with taking South Korea. And as you can see in the southern map right here, this would be the Pusan Perimeter, where UN forces made one epic last stand against North Korean forces, and they were able to push them back and weaken them enough to push the KPA back, and this was an amphibious landing by UN forces when they took Seoul back, and they pushed the North Korean forces back to the demilitarization line and 38 parallel, and almost took in the north before the PLA of the Chinese People's Liberation Army got involved and pushed UN forces back beyond the 38 parallel, and the war ended in an official stalemate. North Korean soldiers with submachine guns. Just look at them just marching. American soldiers with an M48. Well, I think it's a M46 Patton. Yeah. And American soldiers setting up defensive lines. I think the Korean War would be a very cool idea for a Battlefield and Call of Duty game, as this would include basically some battles like Blood Hill Ridge and, the Pusan Perimeter when North Koreans tried to seize it, as well as MIG Alley, which had the most air-to-air combat between North Korean and United Nations forces. And while the T-34 made up most of the KPA armor forces, as they were exported by the Soviet Union, and, North Korea and T-34s made most of the KPA, but they were also used by Chinese forces, as T-34s were exported to China as well. And there was a Soviet armor core. This was also exported to North Korea, but also China, and the North Koreans used it. American soldiers engaging Chinese forces. American soldiers setting up defensive lines. And this is an image of a MiG-15. Sable pursuing MiG-15. And here is a weather image. I do think they should do a Korean War for Call of Duty and Battlefield for a couple of reasons. They have never really did a Battlefield or Call of Duty game based off the Korean War, as this was one of the few areas that, the people who made Call of Duty and Battlefield didn't really set up on yet. Plus, I think this would be a very cool idea for a Call of Duty and Battlefield game, as they would have some epic, for Battlefield, I think it would have some epic war stories, as like MiG Alley, where you would pretty much pilot a Sable and engage in air-to-air combat with MiG-15s of the Korean People's Air Force. And just pretty much play as a UN troop or American soldier who is like fighting in the Pusan Perimeter against North Korean forces as they try to seize the Pusan Perimeter. I believe Battlefield and Call of Duty Korean War would be a great game, as this was one of the very first proxy wars of the Cold War between the United States and Soviet Union. And Korea was also very strategic, not just for the United States and Soviet Union, but also for China and Japan. But in a way, though, while the Korean War only lasted for a total of 3 years, this would still be a very good game in my opinion, as we don't even have a lot of games based off the Korean War. And they should do a Korean War, not just because I think it would be great, and not just because they haven't tried it yet, but because there have been people who have demanded it, and I do think they should do it, because I think a Call of Duty Korean War would be nice. So would a Battlefield Korean War, and people have demanded it, and I hope they do a Call of Duty and Battlefield Korean War, because I believe this would be a great game. Anyway, that is all for now.